Okay, so this will be interesting. Turn this on so I can like hear some of the string tunings when I turn the volume up. Now this is like, it's way out of tune, but all right, so I'm going to change these guitar strings on the Floyd Rose bridge. Now, there are a lot of novice guitarists who may even have an electric guitar, but there are tricks when you have a Floyd Rose bridge to changing the guitar strings more easily. And the biggest thing is, don't take all the strings off at one time. It's so hard to tune the guitar up because of the string tension. That's because this bridge has a locking nut which locks the strings in the same place, so you can use the tremolo and dive bomb it. See, that's the tremolo effect. I put it on another pickup. Now, it works great. Guitar stays in tune, even though I just was dive bombing it. But, when you change the strings, it goes out of tune. And then you have to tune it back up. But the spring takes a while for you to like get it back up to tension. So I had a great guitar tech in Orlando, Florida, who showed me how to like reverse string these guitars. So like normally, okay, so here are the strings, and they're all color coded. It's a scheme that Diodario came up with, who's far and away the #1 string maker for guitar strings and other similar instruments in the US now. And each of the strings are color coded. I mean, this is, and to save money, so they don't have to have separate sleeves for each strings, which was a big expense in packaging before. Now this is a 6-string set. If I had an 8-string guitar and I had an 8-string set, they're obviously using the same package now for 8-string guitars, but 6 strings is enough for me. I'm a 6-string guy. So this is what I'll do. Now, if you'll notice, most fixed tail guitarists, whether they play an acoustic guitar or a folk guitar, they'll take the ball ends and run them through the bridge and then tighten the strings up here. On a Floyd Rose, it's more problematic because of when you lose tension on the bridge, you don't know how much string slack to have to wind into the tuner. So so these guys taught me, and I know a lot of guys are doing this now. You see, the ball ends of the strings are up here, which is not how guitars are conventionally strung if you're using a fixed tail bridge. In other words, a bridge doesn't have a locking tremolo like this one. See, this bridge is like flexible, and it stays in tune because the strings are locked between the bridge saddles and this locking nut. So what I'm going to do, I need an Allen wrench and a string cutter. wire cutter. So these locking bridges that come with this version of the Floyd Rose tremolo, which goes all the way back to the original Floyd Rose tremolo. This is a improved design called the Zero Edge Trem that is based on Floyd Rose license. So they're licensing the basic bridge design rights from Floyd Rose, who still exists. I think he died recently. I can't remember. But Floyd Rose is a British guy who invented this system, and it was made most famous by Eddie Van Halen. But like, so anyway, so two strings are locked in to this nut. Two pairs of strings. So there are three screws and locks for each pair of strings, which means 6 strings. So I'm going to loosen the low end strings first. Just need to loosen it a little bit. Now, because the strings are locked and the tuners may have moved, it may actually be a little bit out of tune. You can hear that. It doesn't matter anyway. So I'm going to loosen. This is where you lock the string into the bridge. It's getting rusty there. So I'm going to move the bridge forward and loosen the first string. Just a tiny bit. So this string is loose now. Now you can already hear like everything went sharp because this E string against the string tension has made the springs pull the bridge back, and that's why it's such a great thing to use this approach to turn this volume off, to change strings. So I pull this string out, that's the old string. The other great thing about this technique is that since I'm using these color-coded Diodario strings, well, the string I just pulled off is got the brass, whatever you call it, the brass string ball. They usually call them balls when it comes to strings. Because in the old days, strings actually, before they started wrapping these kind of washer looking things, they actually had like they literally were like lead balls that were just like soldered to the ends of the strings so that they would stay on the bridge. So okay, I'm going to run this through the string guide and this nut. Need to get it underneath this thing. It's an intonation thing that holds the string down to keep it from, it's hard to explain. This thing is nothing to do with like tuning the strings. It's for like preserving intonation. So the great thing about this technique is that I can pull the string through, and I know just from experience that cutting the string about here in front of the fine tuners and then pushing the string into the saddle. Okay, push the string into the saddle. I need to take the Allen wrench and lock it down. So I'm going to clamp the string into this locking area so that it doesn't, so that it's locked on this end now, okay? So I can't pull the string out. And on this end, the ball keeps the string from coming out of there. So all I have to do is take my peg winder and tighten the string. Make sure it winds underneath the ball. Puts less stress on the stem of the tuner, because the added string tension goes down and is closer to the base. And there you have it. Change one string. And I need to adjust the fine tuners so they're kind of like neutral. So these fine tuners allow me to do fine tuning on the string without unlocking the strings. So I'm going to bring the string up to tension now. So turn the volume up. Did you hear the high E, which is 2 octaves above the low E, came down in pitch while I was adding tension back to the bridge. So, and then I want to stretch out the string a little bit just by I usually just do this. You hear the string is stretched out now. Okay, so that's not bad. Then I'm going to start with the second string, which is the A string. Do the same thing, rock the bridge forward. So I have my bridge set up with a lot of forward play because I like doing a lot of dive bombing. Sort of put the tuner more in a neutral position. And then run the A string out. Okay, string number 2. Then get the other A string, and you notice it's red, like the one that I just pulled out. So got the right string. So run it all the way through to the ball. Now these are a little harder because you need to run these up. The 4 middle strings, you need to run up through the middle of this guide, this tension guide. This is a pain. So all of my guitar string changing units have here needle nose pliers, so I can pick this up and run it through. Let me see if I can get this. Alright, there's the end of the string. String it through. It's bent. It's a bigger deal than it normally is. All right. Sometimes if it's a pain like this, I just take the whole thing off. Make sure this is wound around the right way. This whole assembly back on. Okay, pull the string out, cut it at basically around the same place right here. Stick it in the saddle. Oops. That's not really the saddle. Technically, these are the bridge saddles. This is like the retainer section. Lock this down. So the string is secure now. So I just need to do the same thing. Just tighten it up. You can hear how the tune it sounds, but as soon as I pull this up to tension, the guitar will sound in tune again. Because of the springs of the locking tremolo. That's what makes replacing strings on a locking tremolo so much trickier. That's why I do this. So, okay, we know that the E string, I stretched it out a little bit. It's probably gone flat again by now. Once you stretch them out, they stay pretty close. But this G string is still locked in. No, that's not the G string, that's a D. So the D string is still locked. I haven't done that, so I'm going to tune this. Oops. You hear the D string has been pulled back by adding tension for this string to the bridge. So the E string is a little flat, but it's getting pretty stable. So now I gotta like try to stretch out the A string. That's all I usually do. Not bad. Now the longer this sits, these two strings sit while I start to change the other four strings, the more they're going to, the tension is going to stabilize. So I'll unlock the tuner for the D and the G strings. Okay, third and the fourth string. Tighten this a little bit, just so there's a little bit of tension holding the string. But I'm going to have to make tuning adjustments to that string eventually anyway. So you don't need to like really tighten it, because if you lock it down, you're still going to have to deal with it later. So here's the D string, the third string. Some people call it the fourth string. I don't know. It's third string when I'm looking at it. All right. There's another string. Okay, so the black one is the D string. And on 946s, which is the gauge that the string gauge that I use, it's the only other wound string. Top three strings on a set of 9 to 46 gauge strings are solid, like this. Like this. Basically a wire. So I'm changing the D string, which is wound, but it's pretty fine for a wound string. So run that through there. Just have to repeat these steps for the other 4 strings. Let's see if I can get this through here. There we go. Then you cut this. To clean my guitar. I can normally do this pretty fast, but since I'm trying to explain to you, it's a little bit slower than normal. But it still is always going to be slower than changing strings on a fixed bridge, because you just cut the string and then roll it into the tuner and then tune it up. You don't have to worry about extra steps of locking and unlocking nuts, which is a pain about locking bridges, but the advantages so much outweigh the disadvantages if you play the style of guitar that I play. So I'm gonna like wind this down. Okay, all right. Here's another pro tip. So when you unlock each pair of strings, those 2 strings that are still locked, right, are the B and the E. Now they don't sound like they're in tune, but this string is like way out of tune. That's a string I haven't changed. So the D string I've just put on. I'm gonna bring it up to tension, but I want these to sound like they're pretty much they're like a 4th, not a 5th. Because like G and B are like the one anomalous thing about like guitar tunings. Now I'm gonna bring this up to tension and bring the whole string assembly. Going on? Am I pulling this out? not bad. All right, so we're gonna deal with the G. Just gonna like get through these last strings real fast. Get this. Hear that stretching out. So high strings will tend to stretch out a little bit more over time. By now, this is probably close to like a true E. The bottom string is done. All right, so last two strings. Try to push my way through this, get this done. Oh, here's another thing. All right. One thing that I typically have problems with, because I do so much bending on the top two strings, you can see the strings stretch out over time as I'm playing, especially when I've been playing aggressively. And I have to tighten the strings up because they're stretching out as I play a lot more than the lower strings are once they've stabilized. So I need to take the fine tuners and back them up. So I just like took this string, unlocked this string, the B. So I'm trying to even it up with those so that I can start over again. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I start playing on this set of strings again, these smaller strings, the B and the E, have a tendency to stretch out, and that's why you see a lot of people who play Floyd Rose guitars have the top two tuners tend to like, you can actually tell if somebody's playing a brand new set of strings. This is kind of interesting. So guys who like are doing big shows, I mean, they can afford to like have a guitar tech with them at all times, which is great. I have to pay for my techs. And okay, so this is purple. So like when you look at their tuners, if they're playing Floyd Rose guitars, they're always like evenly across the board because they don't have to do that much fine tuning because the guitar tech has already like changed the strings at the end of the previous night. Like on other guitars, like people don't like changing strings like just before you do a gig because then the guitar is gonna like tend to like go out of tune because some of the strings are still stretching out, right? So last thing you do before you load up the truck if you're doing big gigs is the tech might change the strings at night and then just like fine tune the strings the next afternoon when they're in a new town or something. But like I have to do it myself. I'm okay with that. I'm a little guy. Okay, so run this through. See if I can just get it through. Sometimes it'll pop up. Yeah. Oh. Hate that. Not bad. Last string. So this is the reason why I built this van out with this big desktop area, so that I can work on guitars, because it's what I need to do. Come on. Okay, so where's that last E string? There it is. Now, since this is the last string, I can just wind it on, run it right through the nut, just like the first string. Then just slip the string underneath the post of that retainer. Sometimes it's gonna need to crimp the string around the post. Makes it easier. Okay. be careful with the high E string. It can be a pain sometime. Gotta make sure this stays underneath here when you're like adding tension. Okay. Okay, and I gotta loosen this fine tuning screw again. So that's close enough. So it's more or less in tune. I'm going to clean up all those bits of strings, but now I can play it and take a look at the action on the bridge. Try using the tuner. I've never used this tuner in this amp. It's relatively new. How do I do that? Tuner. Hold. Yeah. All right. God, this feels so much better. I do not know. Am I a whole step, a half step down? Let me like play one of these tracks. Wow. These new strings made a huge difference. Try playing this tune. See. It's my song. That's a cool tune. That tune is called Tunnel Vision. Alright, so I think this guitar is pretty well set up. Try the tuner one more time and then I'll lock the strings down. So I can barely see this. The green means that it's in tune. All right. Lock the strings and we're done. Sounds like a lot of steps for changing strings, but it's really not that bad. It's just taking me a long time because I'm trying to explain the reason why. There's a lot of different reasons for using this approach to change strings on a locking tremolo, because it just makes life a lot easier when you don't have to bring all the strings up to tension at the same time. It takes forever, because as soon as you pull the tension up on one string, all the other strings start going flat. So if all the strings are off the bridge, then you're going to just keep on doing that forever, going from string to string, and then by the time you get to the last string, the first string is much flatter. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm done with this video. Okay. Actually, it was a lot longer. It normally takes me about maybe 20 minutes to change 6 strings on a Floyd Rose guitar, just so that you know. Obviously, I'm talking a lot on this. Hope it's helpful. It's been kind of fun trying to elucidate why I do string changes the way I do. And it's not just me. It's a lot of lot of pro guys who play guitars with these bridges full time. They understand that too. Anyway, well, nice demoing for you. See what else comes up today. TTYL.